back on the T5 series. So in this vlog, I'm going to be lowering it and getting the new stereo fitted. I have noted that with the T5s, the stereo doesn't actually turn off when switching the ignition off. So I'm going to run through of how to solve this problem. Simple fix. Again, let's go. So next job, now that I've got it back on the ramp, I'm going to be fitting coilovers. So I've got Stance Plus coilovers. I ordered up some new top mounts, which I'm going to use T5 top mounts. As a friend of mine has done the top mount mod where you grind down or lathe down the aluminium part of the top mount. So once I've got these standard shocks out, I'll be laving that down and then fitting them to the new top mounts. And I will also be doing the hub mod as well, which I'll show if you haven't seen it. Just keep following. So rear shock, as we just saw in that little time lapse, is out. Obviously this is the old one, knackered compared to the new Stance Plus ones. The same with the Stance Plus spring. And then there's the adjuster. I might try it without the adjuster for the minute just to see how low it goes, because I had quite a gap difference between my wheel arch and the wheel. And again, it's just a simple 10-minute job just to get that back in anyway. So I'm going to try it without the adjuster, see how low it looks. And then if it's too low, then obviously I can just put the adjuster in. Just keep watching. So I did notice one issue. The bump stop on the rear would in fact hit this part of the rear arm, obviously with the coilover spring on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fit just this top part of the coupling. That'll go right on there, as we can see, and then I'll put the spring in as well, and I'll be painting up the inside of there. We can see the comparison where this bump stop actually is. So yeah, that's one thing I've just stumbled across. So again, just a heads up for people lowering. If you want a super low look, then this will have to be cut off. Just keep watching. So on with the front, I've stripped the front down. This is part of the aluminium top mount. Usually it comes with this as one big ring, and I have cut this outer section off. This is gonna gain me about another 12 to 15 mil lowering. So that sits within the rubber bit, and the bearing will go on this section here. And onto the hub, what I have done, I'll try and show you as best I can. So usually, inside the hub there's like a little lip that sits around the bottom just to stop the shock from actually dropping right through. You can see where I've actually ground it off around the bottom here. So this again will gain me another about 10 to 12 mil, I'm led to believe. So I'm going to get some emery cloth, just clean all this inside of the hub out, and then put this side all back together, and then make a start on the opposite side. Just keep watching. So as mentioned just in the previous clip there about the hub mod, so as we can see, this is the lip itself, this little grey piece here, which I did die grind out on the opposite side. I'll try and get a better view. So there we go. So we can see that this bit is actually a lip, so I'll be die grinding this out so it's in line with the rest of the hub to allow the shock to drop through more, which I have in fact done on this side. So as you can see, the bottom of the shock is actually coming through by around about another 10 to 12 mil. Word of warning as well when doing that, this bolt hole, what would be on the back of the shock, would need drilling out just to allow the bolt to go through, because obviously you're lowering it a bit more, so it does actually get in the way of the bolt hole, which I have in fact just got the die grinder out on this shock and just ground it out a bit more. So yeah, it's now a case of putting the offside back together. Well, taking this shock off, doing the same with a top mount mod, and then doing hub mod, and then putting it all back together. Just keep watching. So the van is now on the deck. As we can see, sitting so much better. Obviously I've just lowered it down, so it will be a case of driving it just to let the suspension settle before I actually set the right height. I've got a feeling I'm a bit too low on this side, because obviously that's my clearance, so I can see that obviously this tyre is going to hit, but I've still got a few more things to do before it's actually on the road. The rear, as we can see, that's with no adjustment. I've just got the top adjuster fitted, not the actual adjuster screw, shall we say. That's not fitted at all, so again I'm happy with the way that this is sitting. So yeah, I'm very happy with the overall, say, stance of the van. So yeah, we'll go around to this side. Obviously, as we can see, it's not actually settled as much on this side, and this side is actually adjusted lower. So we can see there is a lot more clearance this side. This would be the height that I would like to set it to, but again, until I've actually driven the van and just let the suspension settle, I won't adjust them properly. So there we go, that is the van lowered. Keep watching. So I've just tinted the headlights yellow. As we can see here, I think it looks wicked against the black. Obviously I haven't painted the rest of the van yet. I actually found these really hard to do. I'm used to obviously doing kids stuff, so it's a lot smaller, a lot more simpler. I've tried to get it best as I can. They have got like little imperfections in it and little creases. I'm going to go round the edges with a sharper blade, because the one that I was using was blunt. But obviously it's just going to be a business van, it's not a show van. So with the way it's turned out, I'm actually really happy. Let's keep following. So engine bay is obviously completed. I have got a small oil leak coming from where I fitted the new crank end seal. Obviously where the previous one was not timed properly. I'd since found out that it was just slightly leaking past the gasket on the sump. So coming up in the next clip, obviously I'll be doing dropping the sump down and resealing it back up and then refitting it. But I did mention obviously I needed a boost pipe, so I spoke to Exeter 3D Printing, and he actually made me an adapter boost pipe. So this went over the EGR and actually goes into the original boost pipe here. So all I'd done is I'd cut the end of the hose off, because it usually comes with a metal clip, and I've Jubilee clipped it in place, and then underneath, to actually fix this in place, it is screwed and Jubilee clipped as well, and then I've just put some heat tape around it just to protect it that little bit further. Seems to do the job driving around the back of my works, checking obviously the boost. So it'll be a case of once this had a remap, then it will be thoroughly tested. So if this product works, this will be an item that he will in fact sell on his site. Again, I'll link his Instagram page and web page as well in the descriptions of this video. So let's go on with some more work. So I noticed when the van was running there was a bit of an oil leak. I've come to realise since taking the sump off, where I've replaced the crank end seal, which is this part just here. I didn't get a chance to actually glue this the second time round. So looking at where that seal was sitting, which is in fact here, we can see where the oil is sitting. Again, I'm being dripped on. So the plan is just to clean this all up again and then re-glue it to the bottom. Obviously I've cleaned up as much as off the silicone as I can to then re-glue the sump back up. Let's keep watching. So it is running, a little bit lumpy because it needs a remap, which I'll be going to RCS tuning. Checked underneath and we've got no oil leak. So happy days, the oil leak is sorted. Something that was so simple, obviously easily fixed. Let's keep watching. So working on a new stereo for a Kenwood unit, which is running a reversing camera and DAB. Now I have noticed that with the T5, it doesn't have the key switch off. So well, S contact as we call it, is when you switch the ignition on and switch it off and then pull the key out, then the radio should turn off. This is linked into the CAN network, so the radio just has a constant positive feed. I've even checked the wiring to see if there's an ignition switch on the back, but there's not. So my plan is to go down to fuse 19, which I've already taken out just here. just where my finger is here. I know it's a bit dark. That's actually on the S contact switch. So I'm going to put an inline fuse holder, which I had kicking around, so it has a spare junction fuse on it, and then run a feed wire that goes all the way up to the back and then goes into the wiring, which would be the ignition switch of the actual harness here. Just keep following. So stereo is now in, obviously fully fitted. The wiring I've run up into the cigarette lighter loom, so it does still go behind the dash. So key is out in my hand. Going to switch the ignition on. And there we go, it does fully function as it should do with typical cars. Obviously switch the ignition on, radio still works, absolutely fine. Got the reverse camera working after a little bit of tinkering. So got full reversing camera, actually really good quality camera as well. So I'm now going to switch ignition off. So obviously radio still stays on as it should do from factory, and then take the key out and the radio turns off. So again, simply hoping this helps with people that are doing aftermarket stereos. You need to go into the small fuse, which is fuse 19, put an adapter cable in, and then just run it up behind the dash and then go into whatever the ignition wire is on the stereo. Let's keep watching. So that is this vlog done. I hope it was helpful for those that are wanting to lower their vans, especially their T5s, and get those extra little bit of lows. I've also obviously hoped that it helped out with doing the S contact on the switch and how to do such a simple mod to make it so that the stereo does in fact turn off. Got a few more bits and pieces to do on the inside with the rock and roll bed, which I'm still waiting to be made and completed. I'll link the website which I'm actually using to have the full width rock and roll bed made by a company called Rock and Roll Beds. So please hit that like and subscribe to keep up to date with all our videos. Obviously check the channel out and to follow the rest of the series of what I've done so far with the van. Until next time, peace.